Civil War Digital Digest. I'm Will. Well, we've been welcomed back to the Henry Ford here, and we're in Greenfield Village at Firestone Farm, and John Fortinos with us. They normally interpret the 1880s here, but this is technology that doesn't change in those 20 years. We recently did an episode that was all about what the Merino Sheep was like during the Civil War and how that's changed up to today, and John's working with one of those sheep. John, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, of course.
What are you doing here?
So we're shearing one of our Merino Sheep right now, and what's going to make this a unique Merino Sheep, is that it's wrinkly. So back in, I imagine, the 1860s, 1800s, the more wrinkles on a sheep, the more surface area and the more wool. So that's going to be, you can have more sheep, or less sheep, and you can shear less of them but still get more wool.
So with these sheep, are we worried about meat, or is wool sort of the lead thing we're looking at?
Wool is going to be the main focus with these sheep here.
Great. And so tell me a little bit about what you're doing. I mean, I'll warn everybody, I've got a background. I was raised on a sheep farm, but to me, those hand clippers, that handles the feet, that handles the head, and does nothing more. I'm really good with an electric shears.
So we're shearing the top of the head off first, and then we'll work our way down to the neck. You take great care in this area because this is where a lot of the wrinkles are. So you want to try to navigate those as best as possible.
How do you do that?
So it's basically, you're going to pull back and then try to straighten out the skin as much as possible, and then get in there and snip away.
Okay.
But then once you're done with that, you're going to start on the shoulders, and hopefully they're calm enough you can lay them down on their sides and then shear their belly and their back and stuff like that.
You're raising sheep on a farm, you're raising them for wool. How many times a year can I expect to harvest that wool?
Once a year.
Okay, great. So this is a year's growth we're seeing?
Yes, yep.
So I assume one of the big things as a shearman then is to get as close to the skin as possible so we're not cutting two layers and having two thicknesses of
Exactly,
wool.
yep.
So, good. Well, what happens now? We're getting down into the big surface area of the sheep. What's changing and what are you doing here?
So we're just going to start to take larger and larger cuts. So you want to be really careful, like I said, around the face and neck. So you're going to take a little bit smaller cuts, but then once you get down here, you can take larger and larger cuts, and it's gonna pick up in time, and you're gonna be able to get it done a lot quicker.
Okay, and I see this sheep isn't standing next to you. Tell me about why he's set this way.
So when we put our sheep down on their hind haunches, they're going to take deeper and deeper breaths. It's what's going to calm them down a little bit, and it's going to allow us to keep our shears nice and straight, and hopefully get it done faster.
Great. Well, it sure is fun to watch. And this is something that would happen. What time of year would people on a Civil War farm shear their sheep?
You're going to do it in spring. So right before your lambing season, you're going to shear your sheep. You're going to make sure that your ewes are going to be nice and clean for when they give birth to their lambs. And then you're going to have your wool brokers coming in the spring as well. So it's going to be a very sheep-centric time of year.
Fantastic. Sounds like a very busy time of year.
It is. So you still have a lot of your plowing, your planting, on your farm. So more than likely you're going to be hiring itinerant sheep shearers to come in and shear your sheep for you. Young men, they're going to come and take care of your flock for you. Can focus on your fields as well.
Sounds like a little bit like the wheat harvest in the late summer and fall as well.
Yes.
So, great.
All hands on deck.
Well, I got to ask this. I grew up on a sheep farm, but it's machined for me. Do you mind if I give this a try?
Yes, of course.
So what first?
If you want to come up from behind him right here.
Yeah, this is something that hasn't changed in 100 and some years.
No.
You get in that position there, he's going to stay right there. Now what do I do here?
So what you want to do is, with your opposite hand, if you can bring it down, you're just going to pull that wool back. Your initial intention is going to be to try to pull it up so you can get behind the wool. But if you pull it back and then try to get that blade in there as flush to the skin as possible. And
so something like this here.
Exactly.
And we want to get way down right against the skin, right?
Yep.
But not into the skin.
No, not into the skin. But, that's going to happen from time to time. They are going to move. They're not going to stand completely still for you. And you may nick them every once in a while.
So what happens in this area if you do nick them?
So they produce something called lanolin. It's a natural oil that they secrete, and it's going to act as like a natural antiseptic. So it's going to be like a neosporin. So if you were to come back maybe tomorrow, you try to take on the nicks, they're going to be pretty healed over.
I tell you, John, this is a world different than working with the shears,
It is,
with
isn't
electric
it?
shears. But I'll tell you this, it's a lot more peaceful than having that machine right
Yep.
next to your head and the sheep in a blocking stall being all worried. It's a much calmer process.
Yeah, once you get in a rhythm, it's really enjoyable.
I'll tell you this, I'm a ways from that rhythm. Now, how far down I'm on a leg here. How
Yep.
far down and
So if
around
you
would you
wanna-
go here?
You can probably leave it right there, and if you want to start back over here and then work your way down the side again.
Okay. It does speed up as you get into those larger areas, that's
Yeah.
for sure. And I guess as I get a little more confident where I'm not feeling like I'm going to clip him and get used to what the shears feels like under my fingers and under my hands here.
Yeah.
So how would you sharpen these shears?
You could use a whetstone. I imagine after, if you're shearing multiple sheep in a day, they are going to start to eventually dull out. So if you keep a whetstone nearby, you could shear, maybe sharpen them between each sheep.
Okay, great. Well, I'll tell you what. Thank you so much for helping us learn a little bit about this, and thank you for spending your time with Civil War Digital Digest. This is a little bit of what it's like on the spring on a Civil War farm. If you've got sheep, these merino, this wool is one of your major cash crops. You want to get it cared for and get your sheep cooled down for the summer. For the Civil War Digital Digest, I'm Will. Thanks for spending your time with us. We'll see you soon.